Hi everybody, welcome back to Tunes Reviews. Today we're going to talk about Interlude Man. Interlude Man. Interlude Man. I don't know why, but it really reminds me of Interstellar, the film, which I also love. Soundtrack's amazing. Interlude Man was released in 2012, and if you go back on my channel, you can go way back to 2012 or 13, when I did a little series called Lil Minis. This beautiful little gem made it onto that little series, and I bashed the ever-loving shit out of it back then.
This one simply is not doing it for me. The price point, the bottle is gorgeous, the box is cool. Amouage is arguably one of my absolute favorite niche houses. I think I own 4 of their fragrances, and this won't be one of them.
I am pleasantly surprised and here to tell you that this fragrance has completely grown on me. I absolutely adore Interlude Man. I would say that's probably tied with my second favorite from the house. If you all didn't know, then a brief little history of Tim and his Amouage wearings. I own and adore Reflection Man to the point where that was probably my signature scent for about 2 years. I don't wear it nearly as often anymore, but only because the fragrance is incredibly linear and I got a little bored of it. I still love it. It's a gem. It's a wonderful fragrance that has a lot of memories attached to it. Jubilation 25, however, was my introduction to this house and holds a very near and dear place in my heart. It is just everything that I love about fragrance, especially niche fragrances. And not to, sound like a cliche, but, like an old reviewer, they don't make them like they used to. As far as Jubilation goes, that's just such a wonderful fragrance, and if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. That brings me to Interlude Man, okay? Now, Interlude Man is a fragrance that, I'm not gonna lie, is difficult to pull off, I would say, at first. The right kind of person, I'm not gonna say man, even though this reminds me of a man's man, the right kind of person needs to be wearing this. And it needs to be a person that is just utterly drenched in confidence, okay? If you are not confident, you're not gonna pull this off, because I'm gonna tell you something. With the good comes the bad, and I've had plenty of people say to me that I smell like church or a bonfire, and not in a pleasant way when I've worn this. Amouage Interlude Man comes in 2 sizes, the 50 ml and the 100 ml bottle. It will run you anywhere from $95 to $180 American, and that is retail. You can find this at places like Fragrance Net. Now, when I initially reviewed this fragrance back in 2012, I will say that it turned me off because of the initial 1.5 to 2 hours of the fragrance, where it smells essentially like a smoldering bonfire. When you initially spray the fragrance on, it's going to smell like a bonfire, and then it's going to transition to a really nice burning incense that develops into pretty much a burning incense and vanilla on my skin. The one thing that I will say is that most people go on and on about how this thing is just a projection beast that lasts for forever and a day. It's, it's gonna basically be smelled out in space. It's kind of ridiculous, because I don't think that this fragrance does that at all. It does project well, or moderately well, but I do think that it's basically if you're about a foot away and closer. So don't listen to all that other hoopla. People were kind of just blowing smoke up your ass. The fragrance on my skin lasts about 10 hours. I will say for half of that, it becomes pretty much a skin scent, and it smells really pleasant. I enjoy it quite a bit. If you like fragrances that kind of invoke a fall image, when I think of fall, I think of, fires, going over to your buddy's house or whatever, having a family fire, having a couple cocktails around a fire, etc. Kind of reminds me of that, just because of the smoldering ash aspect to the fragrance. I think that this is easily one of my favorite creations, and it can definitely be a little bit more on the daring side. With longevity, projection, and the price point, I would give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. I think that this is a masterpiece. It's art. It's going to go down in fragrance history. When it comes to fragrance reviewers, they're going to talk about this for a long time, I think. And the presentation is gorgeous as always with Amouage, and they really knocked it out of the park as far as this fragrance goes. I think that this is a wonderful, cozy fragrance for the fall and winter. With that being said, I don't think I'd ever dress, formally with this fragrance. I think this is a fragrance that's a little bit more intimate for you, the wearer, to enjoy, but teach their own. That being said, this has been Interlude Man. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later.